What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Going for Two. I am Kejuannh Humphreys. The San Antonio Spurs are set to be a legit problem next year and for the years to come after that. So the San Antonio Spurs on the NBA draft that just ended yesterday had the second overall pick. Took Dylan Harper, 6'6" guard out of Rutgers, selected Dylan Harper, and this makes the third straight draft where they had a top 5 pick. Now, 2 years ago, they drafted Wembanyama. He won Rookie of the Year. He's a generational talent. Crazy. Last year, they select Stephon Castle with the 4th pick, and he wins Rookie of the Year. He's a dog. This season, they run it back, get the second overall pick, and select Dylan Harper. Now, there was a bunch of question marks surrounding the draft pick, surrounding this number 2 draft pick for the San Antonio Spurs, because we looked at the board. Dylan Harper was the consensus number 2 guy. He was going to be the number 2 guy taken off the board. We knew that for a fact. We knew that for some months now that he's going to be the second guy. And you look at the Spurs, you say, okay, they got Stephon Castle, Rookie of the Year. They traded for De'Aaron Fox in the middle of the season. They don't need another point guard. You know what I'm saying? Because we imagine that Stephon Castle and De'Aaron Fox are going to be able to be on the court together. And adding another point guard to that would be just a lot of guards. You know, that is a very heavy backcourt. And all 3 of those guys are really good and need to be on the court. So there was question marks as to, okay, what do they do with the pick? Do they trade the pick? There were 2 big names, the biggest names out there, Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2 names that were surrounded, that were linked to the San Antonio Spurs just because they had the second pick. Giannis basically took himself off the board when he said, okay, I'm going to run it back with the Bucks. We're going to try to do something here. I'm going to stay here at least for another season. The Rockets ended up trading for Kevin Durant, and that took Kevin Durant off the board. So now it was more on some, okay, are we going to trade down? You know, because there's not really nothing that you can really trade. There's no player out there that you're going to trade the second overall pick for. Not in this loaded NBA draft. But the Spurs did what I like what the Spurs did. They did what they needed to do. They took the best available player in Dylan Harper and said, fine, we're going to take a break. We're going to bring him in, and we'll figure it out. Dylan Harper is by far, he was the best guard in college this year. You know, there's no way that I would, pass over him as well unless I'm going to get back a bona fide superstar in the other 2 guys that I mentioned. So I'm all with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm all with it. But I was along with the rest of y'all, with the rest of others that were confused with how the team is going to look moving forward. Because I don't think you trade for De'Aaron Fox if you aren't looking to keep him long term and pair him up with Victor Wembanyama. But I looked at the contracts. This upcoming season is the last year for De'Aaron Fox under contract. And you have Dylan Harper, who I expect to be really, really good in the NBA because he's very good. He's like a 6'6". He's like a 6'6" De'Aaron Fox. I'm a kid to be. You know what I'm saying? He's great off the pick and roll. He's developing as a shooter. He's an elite playmaker. That he dominates going downhill. He's like De'Aaron Fox if De'Aaron Fox was 6'6". So I look at Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle was likely the best defender in last year's draft. He came into the league as a lockdown guy. His offense, when Chris Paul went down and Wemby went down, we saw his offense and what he could do on the offensive end throughout the second half of the season. So Stephon Castle is going to be another star in this backcourt. So I imagine De'Aaron Fox may be on the way out. Maybe they'll keep him for half the season and trade him again. Maybe they just let him walk for nothing. I don't know. But I don't see how De'Aaron Fox stays and continues to play over both of these guys. Like I said, I don't think you run a 3-guard lineup. I don't think you run a 3-guard lineup with these 3 guys. Just because defensively, yeah, you got Wemby down there, but that's just not the most optimal lineup. You know what I'm saying? One of them has to go, and I would probably get rid of the more expensive De'Aaron Fox and roll with the young guys in Harper and Castle. Looking at the Spurs, this is a team that won 34 games last season. A team that was fighting for the play-in game, fighting for a spot in the play-in until Wembanyama got hurt, or not got hurt, but he contracted blood clots and had to miss the whole second half of the season. Of course, it was a tailspin after that when you lose your best player. Hey, but man, I look at this team, man. I look at what they got. They could legit be a play-in team. They may mess around and have a crazy run and end up in the top 6. We saw Houston be the 2nd seed in this last season. Nobody saw that coming. The same thing could very well happen with the San Antonio Spurs. Because I look at Wembanyama, and the things that man can do on the basketball court, man, it should be illegal. To be 7'4", at one point last season, he was shooting 40% from three. 40% from three at 7'4" or 7'3" or however tall he is. He's mobile. He's not one of them tall, dumb bigs that just can't move on the perimeter. No. Wembanyama, he led the league in blocks. He missed half the season last year and still led the league in blocks. This is a bona fide superstar. I think Wembanyama's going to be a top 10 player next season. He was likely a top 10, top 15 player this year. But next season, if he stayed healthy the whole year, he's going to be top 10, maybe inching on the top 5. Because defensively, he's a problem. And offensively, if he's shooting the ball and dominating, just do tall stuff. If he does tall stuff, he's one of the best players in the NBA. But if he's shooting 40% from three, I ain't got no more to say about it. But I look about De'Aaron Fox. Also, I talked about how he may be on the way out after this season. He's still really good at the game. He's still really good. He came in and he had a good impact on the San Antonio Spurs last season. But like I said, everything was messed up by the injuries to not just Wemby, but I think De'Aaron and Chris Paul ended up missing significant time last season. And they said, okay, let's just pack it in, see if we can get lucky in the draft. And it wasn't, it's not even just Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper was the number 2 pick, but I also love what they did with the 14th pick, taking my guy Carter Bryant. In the last video, I talked about how good I think Carter Bryant is going to be in the NBA. I would have loved him on the Hawks, but I'll take Asa Newell. But Carter Bryant on the Spurs is no difference. It just adds to a massive young core that this team has. You look. I mean, let's think about the roster here. You got De'Aaron Fox, Wemby, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Carter Bryant. You still got Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. You have all these, Jeremy Chochan, he's still there. Jeremy Chochan, you know what I'm saying? You have all these young guys, and they're just going to build and grow together. You know what I'm saying? And the way, to be honest, the way it is, the team may not perform well enough for everybody to get their accolades and awards and stuff. So you may be able to pay and keep these guys together for a decent bit. You know what I'm saying? But I really do project that the Spurs are going to make a significant jump and potentially be in the playoffs next season. Now, it's going to be tough with a very deep West, but I do think it is possible. I think it's possible. You know what I'm saying? They also have a bunch of draft capital moving forward as well. They still got the Hawks pick for next season. You know what I'm saying? They just have a lot that they can do. You know what I'm saying? And I'm counting on Wembanyama. I'm counting on Wembanyama to be one of the best players in the NBA. And with him on the court, he just makes everybody better. You know what I'm saying? Just because the gravity he's going to take up being 7 foot and being able to shoot the ball. He takes up so much gravity. Dylan Harper is one of my favorite players in this draft because he's very, very nice. I watched a lot of him at Rutgers. You know what I'm saying? Carter Bryant, I talked about Carter Bryant. I love Carter Bryant. I love guys like him that come in and just do the dirty work. They come in and do your job. Come in and play defense, get some stops, hit an open three. You know what I'm saying? Carter Bryant adding to that. I'm not sure how much Carter's going to play this season because they have a decent amount of wings, and especially when they're having 3 guards now, one of them guards going to play the 3 at times now too. So don't know how much Carter Bryant plays this season, but moving forward, he's going to be a great piece. The Spurs are kind of this is a transitional period for them. Mitch Johnson is the new head coach. Greg Popovich retired this past season. To me, he's the greatest coach of all time. You know what I'm saying? So they're just in a transitional period. And I think what better way to usher in a new generation than to have just this loaded young core that you can just grow with and try to compete with. I think about OKC. OKC won a championship this year behind their young core. Shai Gilgeous, J-Dub, Chet Holmgren. They were the youngest team to make the finals. I think they're the youngest team to win the finals. The only old guy that got on there was Caruso. He's only 31 years old. So this is not necessarily about experience to me. The way it's looking, it's not going to be about experience. It's about the guys you put on the floor. And over time, the Spurs are going to have one of the deepest teams in the NBA. And that is a scary sight. Another thing I want to talk about real quick. There needs to be a conversation about the Southwestern Division. I think that's what it's called, the Southwestern Division, and how these 4 teams, talking about the San Antonio Spurs, the Dallas Mavericks, the OKC Thunder, and the Houston Rockets, how them 4 teams are going to run the West for years. They're going to run the West. Every single one of those teams have a young ascending superstar. Dallas just drafted Cooper Flagg. You know what I'm saying? Houston has a Min Thompson. The Spurs have a couple of them. They got Wemby, Stephon, and Dylan Harper. And OKC has Shai Gilgeous. Shai Gilgeous is not as young as the other guys, but he's still young. Shai Gilgeous, J-Dub, and Chet Holmgren. You know what I'm saying? So them three teams, man, you know what? And to be honest, they did it the right way. They did it the right way without Dallas. You are not included in this conversation. But they did it the right way. They built in the draft. Most of the guys that are on the Rockets roster, they just got Kevin Durant. Most of the guys on the Rockets roster, they drafted. Most of the guys that are on the Spurs roster, they drafted. OKC, they drafted. Besides, you know, Shai Gilgeous. But I think Shai Gilgeous was a gamble. He wasn't no superstar that you traded for. You traded a superstar to get him. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a story moving into the next, I want to say, decade of basketball. How the rivalry in this conference is going to look. You know what I'm saying? Let me know in the comment section how y'all feeling. Subscribe. Hit the like button. Comment how y'all feeling about the Spurs. Spurs fans, let me know how y'all feeling. We got more draft content, more NFL. We got NFL coming up soon, too. We have a bunch of sports coming up. Subscribe, show love. We're trying to hit 200 subs. Until next time, I'm going to be out of here. Yay.